For decades, we've thought of the Middle East as this giant chessboard for global superpowers. But lately, the pieces are moving in really unexpected ways. New players are showing up and they're completely rewriting the rules of the game. So let's get into it. At the heart of all this is one big question. Who is really pulling the strings in the Middle East today? Because let me tell you, the answer has gotten way more complicated than it used to be.
So, to really get what's happening now, we've got to rewind a bit. We need to look back at the old power play, the traditional way things were always done.
For what felt like forever, the game was pretty straightforward. It was all about these direct, often really confrontational moves from big global powers. They were the ones setting the terms for the entire region. I mean, just look at the US approach during the Trump administration. The whole strategy was maximum pressure on Iran. That meant ripping up the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, the JCPOA. At the same time, there was this very strong support for Israel, like recognizing Jerusalem as its capital, and keeping this deep alliance with Saudi Arabia. Now, it did lead to the historic Abraham Accords, but fundamentally the strategy was about picking sides and using direct force.
And then you've got Russia, right? They came back onto the scene in a big way, really challenging that US dominance. And Russia's strategy was also very direct. It was all about staunch military and diplomatic support for its allies, like Syria's President Assad, and working closely with Iran. Russia basically used its military presence to carve out its own space, making the whole map a lot more tense.
But then, a totally new player shows up with a completely different playbook: China. And honestly, they're changing the entire game.
And this really lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the classic US approach: military pressure, political alliances, direct intervention. But on the other side, China's playbook. It's a total pivot from geopolitics to, geoeconomics.
So what does that actually mean? Well, first, it's about the Belt and Road Initiative, just pouring billions into ports, railways, and oil infrastructure. Then it's about locking down energy security, making sure the oil and gas keeps flowing. And maybe the most important part, it's all about neutral diplomacy. They talk to everyone, from Saudi Arabia to Iran, without getting tangled up in their fights. And all of this has had a huge ripple effect. The players in the region, they're not just pawns on the board anymore. Oh no, they're making their own moves, and they're writing their own rules.
I mean, just look at how fast things have changed. Back in 2020, we saw the Abraham Accords, which was a huge step in normalizing relations between Israel and some Arab states. Fast forward just 3 years, and bam, something that would have been unthinkable happens. China, not the US, brokers a peace deal between bitter rivals Saudi Arabia and Iran.
And this quote right here, it just nails the new vibe. For a lot of these key countries, the whole calculation has changed. The priority isn't endless conflict anymore. It's economic growth and stability. And what's super interesting is how everyone's kind of found a new role to play. You've got Saudi Arabia stepping up as this pragmatic leader, talking to Iran while also quietly coordinating with Israel. Then there's the UAE, acting as a bridge builder, going all in with Israel while keeping business ties with Iran. And you absolutely cannot forget the mediators, like Qatar and Oman, who've become masters of that quiet backchannel diplomacy. These are proactive strategies for a whole new era. Okay, but here's the big paradox, the real twist in the story. While everyone's trying to avoid a big, direct war, another kind of conflict is actually heating up. And in a way, these shadow wars are the price of this new diplomacy. It's how you compete without blowing up the whole chessboard. So what exactly is a shadow war? Well, think of it like this. It's a conflict that's undeclared, fought in the shadows. Instead of armies lining up on a battlefield, it's this murky world of cyberattacks, proxy fighters, and targeted strikes. The goal is simple: hurt your enemy without starting an all-out war. So, how do you fight a war like this? It's basically a 3-part playbook. First up, cyberattacks, trying to cripple critical infrastructure. Then you have airstrikes in these proxy zones, where other countries become the battlefield. And finally, the big one. You arm and fund local militias to do the fighting for you. And this isn't just theory, right? These shadow wars are happening in real places, with real consequences. Syria has basically become the main stage for the Iran-Israel conflict. Lebanon is always a potential flashpoint because of Hezbollah right on Israel's border. And Yemen, well, it's just been torn apart by a brutal proxy war. All right, so let's pull all these threads together. What does this new chessboard look like today, and what should we really be keeping an eye on going forward? At the end of the day, it all boils down to one number: 2.
You have these two powerful, completely opposite forces pulling the Middle East in different directions. On one hand, you have this clear drive for diplomatic de-escalation. But on the other hand, these shadow wars, especially between rivals like Iran and Israel, are only getting more intense.
And where these two trends smash into each other, that's where you find the real danger zones for the future. You've got the Lebanon-Israel border, a total tinderbox. You've got the ongoing clashes inside Syria. And of course, the attacks on shipping in the Red Sea, which show how a local conflict can suddenly become a global problem. Any one of these could blow up and wreck all that fragile progress. Which brings us to the final billion-dollar question. With all these new players, these new rules, this whole new way of fighting, is the region actually heading for some kind of stability built on economics? Or is it just stumbling into a new, more unpredictable, and maybe even more dangerous kind of conflict? The game is very much still in play, and the next move is anyone's guess.